Vancouver Radio, episode number 112. God, all these numbers are starting to get a little bit of a mouthful. We're getting to some big ass numbers. Where was I the other day? I think I was on a conference and people were talking to me about the podcast and stuff, and they were like, "Yeah, how many are you up to now?" I was like, "Well, we're over like 100, 110." And coming back to us reaching past the big 100. I don't know how we missed it. Oh, and by the way, Rachel is here with me on the show. Hello, Rachel. Hello from Australia, down under on your head. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, good morning and good evening wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, how did we forget that we hit 100? Mad.
I don't know, but because I'm a trainer and because you're a trainer, we can only count to 10 because obviously everyone only ever does 10 reps. And in fact, I actually count back from 10. And now this is a funny story. I wonder how many people out there, perhaps they can answer us on Twitter and Facebook. If you have a personal trainer or if you have like a training buddy, do you prefer your training buddy to count from 1 to 10 as an example, or do you prefer them to count down from 10 to 1? Because most of the time, habitually, I count down from 10 to 1, like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But I have one client who likes it the other way.
I really like it how you had to demo counting from 10 to 1 for us just then. Like, thanks, Rachel.
I just had to clarify what I was saying.
Yeah. Appreciate
it.
But
sometimes I actually can't count to 10 because I just lose my trail of thought. I'm too interested in someone's technique rather than how many reps they've done.
Is it Poliquin that says there was some research done? I mean, Poliquin research. Anyway, if you count down from 10 to 1, then people are more likely to hit the end of a set. It's something to do with the psychology of how the number goes from 1 to 10 or 10 to 1. I don't know. I can't remember.
I believe Charles did say that. I actually learnt that from an old mentor of mine who was also mentored by Charles. So it's highly likely that I picked it up from that.
I don't even know if I count. I just pick a weight and I lift it. And then it gets heavier and I keep lifting it. And it's just a really simple theory. And a lot of the time when you're lifting heavy stuff, you don't really need to count like 3 reps. No. It's fairly obvious what's just happened.
I know, but I also believe, like, I have these phases that there's always 5 more in the tank. There's always 5 more in the tank. And even when you finish, when you finish and you think you're finished, no, there's always 5 more. There's always 5 more. And I go through these phases, and I was just saying before we actually came on air that like I'm feeling a little bit too curvy at the moment. I'm on a little bit of a fat loss phase before I come home to the UK for Christmas, and I'm kind of in that mindset with training at the moment. Like, I'm pumped. I want to train all of the time. Like, I've got a mission and a goal, and I'm like, there's always 5 more, always 5 more. I was on a leg press the other day and my legs were shaking. I thought I was actually going to get stuck under there. And I was like, nah, 5 more. Stopped. I rested about 10 seconds. I was like, 5 more, 5 more. And I reckon I probably did about 20 reps more. It was cool.
Get that pump on, Rachel.
It's the old school bodybuilder in me getting a pump on.
I'd hate to see your glutes pumped.
Mate, they
Get
are.
out the way. Beep, beep,
Let me tell you, like, my ass is fucking massive at the moment. Because anyone who watches my YouTube channel or my Facebook stuff, I think I posted, it must have been early September. I was like, right, I'm fed up. My ass has shrunk. I lost 2.5 inches off my glutes when I tore my hamstring earlier in the year. And I to be honest, like, it was just looking a little bit flat for my liking, having done a shoot in Vegas, and obviously I had to diet down, and my butt was looking a little bit flat. So I was like, right, mission time now. Between September through to December, it was, real grow glutes time. And I have, like, it's now ginormous. And, it gets a bit out of control when it's pumped.
That booty back.
It's back. It's back. It's back. Right. Let's talk about sex, baby. Oh, no, before we do that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any news?
No, do I?
No, I'm just asking.
No, I don't. I'm without anything today. It's literally, it's just about the people. It's all about the people, Rachel.
But we haven't talked about your body type nutrition conference, and I apologise if you talked about
yeah.
that on the last show, but
No,
I wasn't on the last show.
I didn't. We're really, really happy how it went. I was really nervous about how it was going to pan out purely because I've never run something so big before. You know, there was just so much logistics to tie up, the food, the speakers, travel, everything, emails, and it went really well. I've read through some of the feedback. I haven't read through it all yet at the time of recording, and everyone seems really, really happy. So happy that we're going to run a Scotland and an Ireland conference as well.
Awesome.
So we're just going to confirm spring dates for 2015 for that. Everyone just seems really happy with the content that we put out. We brought some new stuff. We discussed some research that only really recently came out. My talk, again, was another real honesty call from a health perspective for a lot of people. I went on some different tangents and I really enjoyed my talk. Heather Wynne did an incredible talk on psychology and really, really killed it. And then all the other coaches were just really disciplined and tight about their subject matter, and really happy. Everyone just seems really positive, and the workshop day went really well. So yeah, really happy, really happy.
Awesome. I have to just a note on Heather's stuff. You've got some great coaches with you now, under Body Type Nutrition and everything, but Heather, she stands out on social media as just being such a role model for women and just calling bullshit on so many things. And, credit where it's due, she's doing a great job. If anyone hasn't checked out Heather's stuff, I know she writes some wicked articles for you. She's particularly in the field of, the psychology and what it's like to be a chick, it's a tough gig, right? Sometimes. And Heather does a wicked job.
It hit so many people because she actually talked about her journey in the fitness industry and with her body composition. Because like you and me, we started as coaches, let's say 8, 9, 10, whatever it was years ago. And throughout that journey, you go through these processes of how you view your body and the steps that you're trying to make. And then those tipping points and those personal battles that you have with your own body image. So, you might be on fat loss, but you want to build some muscle, and how you view yourself, and you think you're too skinny. And, us as trainers went through that very same thing, exact same as our clients are going through. And the way that she described her journey, I think everyone was sitting in the room going, oh, I've been there. I know exactly. And I felt, I was quite close to tear at one point, and I'm rarely close to a tear because I'm a man and I'm an alpha male. But it really hit a chord with so many people, and everyone stood up for the break and was like, "Whoa, that was potent." So I'm looking forward to hitting Scotland and Ireland and other places with that talk. And we did film it, so at some point it will go up online, but we're not in a hurry because we've got hours and hours and hours of stuff to edit.
Awesome.
But yeah, really happy. Yeah, people listening should go and check out Heather Wynn's work. You can find her through my Facebook profile. She's HJ Fitness on Twitter. Yeah, fantastic stuff. But it's not to discredit anything that the other coaches did. The coaches all did, fantastic, very well delivered speeches. It's just Heather came from an angle that we're not really discussing in fitness at the moment. I think that's what made it extra powerful, if I'm honest.
Awesome.
Cool, so shall we crack on with people's questions?
I just said that. I said, shall we just get on with some questions? And you just echoed what I said. You should listen to me some more, Benny.
Well, all right. I'll take the criticism on board. I'll develop. I'll go away and I'll come back stronger.
Good boy. All right. Hi, Ben and Rachel. Loving the show. Very inspiring and helpful during long cardio sessions. I'm currently having a bit of a personal issue, and I was wondering if you would be able to help me out or offer some advice. I'm a 31-year-old male, currently partway through the LDN muscle cutting guide. I'm really pleased with the results so far, and I'm down to below 10% body fat, albeit on a questionably accurate home scales. I feel like I'm finally seeing the results of a long journey that have seen me change my lifestyle considerably, improving my sleep and productivity, and banishing issues relating to IBS and acid reflux. However, as I'm reaching my ultimate and incredibly vain goal, I've hit a problem I've been hit with the problem of a non-existent libido. I'm in a very committed long-term relationship, and it's caused friction as we are starting to plan a family soon. I really want sex, but it's just not happening right now. My diet is pretty solid. I track macros in line with the cutting guide, and I try to eat as much natural, home-cooked food as possible. I exercise 5 days a week, first thing in the morning in a fasted state, as I have found this works best for me. I have also read this can increase testosterone production. I also supplement with genetic supplements DIM, as I have always felt a little man boobie even at 10 to 12% body fat. I've also struggled to put on lean mass through my training. I love the results that I've had in terms of growth and fat loss, but I've not seen any effect on libido. I also supplement with creatine ethyl ester, and I have recently been using D-aspartic acid and DL-phenylalanine. I can never say that word.
Yeah, it's a bugger, isn't it?
Yeah, phenylalanine, to aid focus during my postgraduate studies. I had hoped that the loss of mojo was due to stress and hard work finishing my teacher training, but it seems to have continued. I'm not looking for a magic pill that will soon... I love this guy. I'm not looking for a magic pill that will soon turn me into Ron Jeremy, but some advice regarding on whether I should alter my routine or supplements or simply wait for things to normalize would be greatly appreciated. I'm sure my girlfriend would be grateful too. Thanks for reading, and I hope I haven't waffled too much. Once again, great show. Luke from Nottingham. P.S. Rachel, I hope the grammar of this is okay for you. Yes, the grammar was very good. Thank you.
Well, this is obviously a really important topic for a lot of people, and it's come from a slightly different angle. I know we've talked about testosterone in the past on the show, and it's come from a slightly different angle, but you know, one thing I think we've covered a lot in the show before is how aggressive women's diets can be, and its effect on their libido, menstrual cycle, and overall well-being. And I suppose what this question is doing is really highlighting how it can be an issue in men as well. You know, men are not affected by this issue. It's just the same. Just men don't tend to go there as much as women, because women, I find and experience, tend to be a bit more aggressive with their yo-yo approach and can do a great job at starving themselves when they want to. So the biggest thing that you've got to consider is, at the moment, how long you've been on your cutting cycle and how long you've been in a potentially aggressive calorie deficit. If you've been in a calorie deficit that's too aggressive for a long period of time, you're going to have quite high stress levels, you're going to downregulate potential hormonal function, and we know this to be the case because there's some good studies these days, and there's some recent singular case studies where they've tracked the changes in hormones of a professional bodybuilder going into the show and going out to the show. And this is really what we're discussing. You know, you're basically putting yourself through a long cut, which is just like a bodybuilder would do leading up to a show. And it shows that their testosterone levels go right down, and you know, they basically get impaired function, and it actually takes a long time for it to regain itself. Quite often the same amount of time it did to cut into the show. Hence why, you know, a proper reverse diet is really important coming out of a show, and to look after your body and its stress levels. So I would think that maybe if your key goal now is to increase your libido and sort your testosterone out, you need to stop cutting. You probably at least need to come up to maintenance calories, or as high a maintenance calories as possible, and allow your body to work some magic on itself. And it will take a while to happen. You know, a lot of the time these supplements that we take to increase testosterone just enable our own physiological range to be optimized. They won't boost it out of physiological range. You'll need to take, you know, steroids or pro-hormones to elicit that response. So taking things like D-aspartic acid, it's not going to have really any significant benefit. The problem that still occurs is that you're potentially in too aggressive a calorie deficit, and you need to come out of that. So I would suggest that you start reverse dieting up again. Yes, it sounds like you still want to get a little bit leaner, but to be honest, that's not your priority right now. Your priority is getting a boner and doing the job. So go on a bit of a reverse diet, increase your calories. I would ditch the creatine ethyl ester and take standard monohydrate. It's been shown to be more effective and cheaper. I would probably stop training fasted, just in case it's providing too much of a stress on your system. I would make sure you start to sleep impeccably through the night. You're well hydrated. You probably want to supplement with zinc or ZMA as a whole. I'd supplement with ZMA anyway if you're training hard. Or recovery spray, which is essentially ZMA topically. And I think that's basically your path and your answer, to be honest.
There's nothing worse, is there, when I've had this coming into shows as well in the past, where you're looking phenomenal and like you're in your best shape ever, but you also feel the shittest, and you just you don't want anyone to come near you, because quite frankly, and I remember this too well. Last show I did in, what was it, 2012. I just, all I wanted to do was go to sleep, because all I wanted to do was get up and train the next day. And my other half, I used to say to him, get away from me. It's the last thing you want to do. Sex is just not on the radar when you've got a very low body fat percentage, and you just, particularly if you're in a natural state, and you're not taking steroids, or you're not taking any other form of assistance. And unfortunately it is one of those things, no matter how well you do it, when you do drop below, and some people are more susceptible to it than others, when you do drop below certain body fat percentages, you do unfortunately lose your sex drive. So it is very common in guys and with girls as well.
Yeah, it's very, I'd say, common as a whole with personal trainers and people that train really hard. This is one of the topics I uncovered on the conference in my talk, is that people need to have a real honesty moment with themselves and say, look, if there's things in your lifestyle that are substandard, are not optimized, so that's sleep, sex drive, energy, have a reality check, have an honest word with yourself. I call it a Pinocchio moment, and sort it out. Take a little bit of time off, back off from the training, or your gains won't disappear by you restructuring your goals a bit. Just back off a little bit. Take a different approach to your health. And I think, low libido is more common in the fitness industry than people care to admit, because we're burning the wick at both ends all the time with training and, trying to have a social life. And most people don't have as good a social life as they want to, because they're so concerned about their body. So, yeah, just let's realign our goals a little bit. But there was another question on testosterone in the questions part of the podcast in my email, and I didn't throw it in because hopefully this has covered it. So to that man that emailed in about testosterone, hopefully we've covered that as well. Right.
Kind of sad, isn't it, that you aim to have a hot body to attract a mate, because essentially you want to have sex with them. Yeah, you get to the point where you're looking phenomenal, but then your body doesn't work correctly. So there's got to be a bit of balance in there somewhere.
Well, this is. Ooh, bit of microphone feedback there. Ooh. If you think about it, if you go on a journey to achieve a body and you achieve that body, the journey that was, hard graft to get there is not the same journey you need to maintain that body. So if I get in the gym and I'm hustling hard and I'm cardio and I'm weight training 5 times a week, I would say you can maintain that well on 3 sessions a week. So then that buys back more of your time for your social life, that buys back time to just basically enjoy yourself, and you'll easily maintain what you have. So the goal and the path to get there is not the same as maintaining it. And I think people think that they have to keep up the same work rate to stay on top of that goal, and you don't. My muscle mass, I'm only in the gym twice a week and I maintain my muscle mass. I don't really gain an awful lot. It's difficult to gain much on 2 sessions a week, but I maintain it. But I know that if I want to gain or make progress, I need to up that again, so my goals need to shift. So people need to take comfort in that fact. I think that they can chill a bit when they've got there.
That's a very valuable point, and it's something that I had to address this week. I've got a lot of girls running through my membership site, the Athletic Fox Blueprint, and one of the things that's interesting to me that is commonly fed back is girls who have been training for a long period of time. So I have it's a minimum 12-week commitment, and my team always asks for feedback if somebody cancels their subscription. And one of the things that is common is that ladies write back and they say, look, I've been training for many, many years and I found the program was too easy for me. And I find that very, very difficult to believe if you've done the training effectively and you've done the training properly, because the way that I've set out the rep sets, tempos, periodized the entire program and the rest involved, it is not an easy program. I've been training for 15 years, and even phase 1 and phase 2 of my membership site. And I've written that with bearing in mind that there is going to be beginners using it and also advanced trainees. But because the volume in there is quite low, and most women are used to absolutely smashing themselves in the gym, unfortunately, they still get to the stage where they still believe that they need to be smashing themselves in the gym, despite the fact that I've given them technically an easier solution and something that they're getting phenomenal results out of, but it's still not enough. So I think it is a mindset thing, and it's an educational thing as well. So it's a valuable point.
We don't need to keep smashing ourselves into the ground.
Don't need to be I posted a video on Facebook yesterday, and it was one that I recorded with my trainer last year, and it was on giant set legs. And look, I'm not going to lie, it was a horrific training session. It was very high volume. It was a tough training session, and I do make it quite clear that I don't train like that all the time every day. And I think a lot of people think that I do. And I've made that quite clear in a lot of my writing, and whenever I get interviewed, I only really lift 3 to 4 times a week, and it's certainly nowhere near to that volume or intensity. It's the minimal. You've got to apply the minimal effective dose all the time.
Exactly.
Anyway, should we move on?
Yep.
Okay, this question is from Kerry. Hi, Ben and Rachel. Firstly, I would like to say I absolutely love the podcast. I've caught up with all of the episodes over the last couple of months, and I have learned so much. I've been so inspired to learn that even more that I've just signed up to the BTN Foundation Academy, and I can't wait to expand my knowledge further. So, my question. I'm a 36-year-old female. I weigh 67 kilos and 21% body fat. I've upped my training over the past year. I currently train 5 times a week, 1 strength conditioning session, 1 gymnastics session, and 3 functional fitness classes of body weight, kettlebells, tires, box jumps, and sprints, etc. Over the past few months, I've tweaked my diet to increase protein and reduce carbs. I currently eat 2 grams of protein, 0.75 grams of fat, and 2.3 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight, which equates to roughly 1,600 calories. I eat single ingredient foods, loads of fruit and veg, no bread, and eat the majority of carbs post-training. My goals are fat loss, strength gain, and to look and feel awesome. This year, my periods have become more frequent, dropping from every 31 days to every 21 days, and I have very little sex drive. I've done some research on the internet, and other than menopause, the only suggestion that I could find could be that I have a shortened luteal phase, possibly as a result of exercise, low calorie intake, and or low progesterone. I do find that if I have a bad eating month, the periods revert to a longer cycle. I also find that I struggle to control binge eating around the time of my period. Generally, I feel pretty good. However, I do hit a wall from time to time as I juggle a full-time job, commuting, 2 children, training, and I do the majority of household chores. I am super organised with my planning and time management. Do you have any suggestions on what could be causing the changes, and what do I need to tweak to restore a bit of menstrual balance, control the binge eating, and get my sex drive back? Many thanks, Kerry.
See, this is a wicked question because it's got so many different little tangents in it. And a while back I spoke about the varying opinions of myself and Lane Norton when people sort of talked about, why did you do a tour with Lane Norton? Because you both have, conflicting views, and we don't have conflicting views. We just come from very different angles in how we approach our work. And this is a classic question on people that have really bought into the kind of fitness journey, eating the right foods, training at the right time, doing all the right stuff, and become, in my opinion, over orthorexic about the journey that they're on and all the things that have to be done to ensure success. Otherwise, there is impending failure. And for me, what Kerry's experienced here is there's such a drive to eat clean, one ingredient foods all the time, that it becomes paralyzing when you do want some kind of flexibility in your regime, and people feel that when you instill that flexibility, there is some kind of failure. And this is where Lane's promotion of the flexible, if it fits your macros, flexible dieting is absolutely essential for people to understand how they can live a more social and relaxed life and have a varied food intake while still accounting for the changes that they're trying to make in their body composition. So when Kerry, it seems like, hits a hard patch in her her menstrual cycle and she's not feeling great, she's likely to binge. She's got this confine of 1,600 calories and it has to be clean food, and if she doesn't stick to that, it ends up being a binge. Well, this is where Lane's promotion of if it fits your macros is brilliant, because if you're sitting there going, do you know what, I really just fancy some porridge with sugar on top today for breakfast, and that's okay. You can sit there and go, right, that's 60 grams of oats, 15 grams of sugar, that's X amount of calories, brilliant, I'll factor that in, I've eaten what I've wanted, it's going to be accounted for in my total calorie intake, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. And that's what people need to get to. We do need to approach, I am 100% about one ingredient foods, getting the right balance, getting nutrient density, but I'm also about living a very sociable life, having some flexibility, eating what I want now and again, and still being able to look good, have abs, feel good, feel fantastic, and live a good life. And this is where we need to marry these kind of two approaches. Now, to attack your question from the other side of it, is that you've got dysregulated menstrual cycle. The answer to your question is in your information that you've already given me. You told me that when you go off on a binge, which means you increase your calorie content short term, things go back to normal. So I would say that you're on too low a calorie intake. It sounds like you train pretty damn hard. Your sessions are probably going to be burning at least 400 to 500 calories, especially on these kind of more metabolic type sessions, maybe even a little bit more. And even for someone that's 67 kilo, that's quite low. It sounds like you're very active, you're running around after kids and stuff. I just think you're eating too little. So I think you probably need to reverse up again. Just maintain your weight, restore a bit of metabolic health, reverse diet up. Go watch my video how to increase your calorie ceiling on YouTube, then diet down again. And also, if you want to get geeky about your menstrual cycle, I've got a video on my website in the learning zone, bencoomber.com, on how to manipulate diet and training around your menstrual cycle to get more bang for your buck. But granted, that is a paid video, so up to you if you invest in that or not. But your macros are fine, but your calories need to go up, and you need to bring a little bit of flexibility in, but just control that flexibility, and it's not a bad thing. You haven't failed. It is okay.
Just looking at those macros there, like she's only really consuming 50 grams of fat. That's not a lot. That's certainly, like, looking at that, if she was my client, that's something that I would look to start bringing up straight away, is the amount of fat. I think she could probably even, really slowly now over the next couple of weeks start bringing up fat content, certainly to 1 gram per kilo of body weight. Even at 67 grams, that's still a fairly low fat intake.
Yeah,
for what she's doing. And 1,600 calories is not a lot of food. Like that's hard dieting in my book. 1,600 calories is hard dieting. So starting increasing those calories.
Well, good luck, Kerry.
Awesome. Okay, this question is from Lee. And Lee has written bullet points for me, so I'm really happy about that because I like a good bullet point. I've been listening to your podcast, and I have a question that I don't believe you've addressed. So if you have addressed the following, would you please point me into which podcast I could be able to find the information? I think in order for me to properly find the answer I'm seeking, you'll need some background information on me. I'm a 36-year-old female and I currently weigh 131 pounds and I'm 5'4". In the beginning of June, I did a bod pod and it calculated my body fat at 14.5%. On June 23rd, I started Brett Contreras' glute program. I already have a C-shaped butt, but I was just trying to tighten it up. I absolutely love being in the gym and lifting, and I hate cardio. I have been avoiding lifting because I used to competitively downhill racing, and my legs would bulk. I look like the standard downhill ski racer, big legs and a skinny upper body, and I don't want to look like that. I want to be strong and lean all over. For years, I've been trying to get to 115 pounds. I'm not sure why, I just wanted to. I was able to get to 122 comfortably on the paleo/primal diet for the past 2 years, and then my weight crept up to 126 in January and I couldn't break it. I've been counting calories like mad, gone in and out of ketosis. Sometimes my mind was lost in a fog, and it just seemed to be getting worse. I was eating 1,400 to 1,500 calories, and I was gaining weight steadily. I went down to 1,000 and nothing. I've been listening to Kiefer's podcast as well. I tried Carb Night for 1 month for the second time, but it wasn't breaking. I think this even made it worse. I was consistently putting on weight, and yes, my thyroid is fine. I started at 126 in June and now I'm 131 and my clothes don't fit. I have more cellulite than when I started and I don't even look better. I look like a squishy fool. What do I do? The trainers where I live are going to tell me the same old misguided information, and I truly believe in insulin factor and eating more fat and protein. The science behind Kiefer seems probable, but I don't understand why it isn't working for me. So my question is this. What does a 36-year-old female do who wants to lean out and tighten up, who is already 14.5% body fat, who doesn't want to enter a competition? Who do I go to for help, and where do I get the proper information? I'm not looking to lose a ton of weight. I already eat clean and monitor my foods. I feel like the industry just leaves out the mix of information only for those catering. Sorry, let me start that again. I feel like the industry leaves us out of the mix of information, only catering to those who are just starting out the beginning phases or those who are in the competition phase. Can you please address this? There are so many of us out there who are desperately in need of this help and information. Sincerely, Lee. Good question.
It is a good question,
yeah.
You know, I think for someone that's really been struggling to piece together an awful lot of information by themselves and has obviously spent an awful lot of time doing the research and playing around with things, get a coach.
Yeah.
Like, invest 60, 80, 100 pounds, whatever it might be a month, you know, but really buy into getting a good 4 to 6 months of coaching time for that coach to help you identify this stuff. And this is where I really have to fly the flag for what a coach can do for people to help unravel things. I think, honestly, I think you could really do some help with potentially, when you get to your goal as well, how you view your body and, you know, what you think of your physical standing and your body composition. You know, for a female at 14.5% body fat, that's good. You know, that is a healthy, fairly athletic body fat percentage. I would say that, just like the last question, you need some kind of reverse diet protocol. Despite what you've read and what you feel should work for you, it's obviously not, but it feels like you still want to believe it might work. So you've said that you've read John Kiefer's work and, you know, that it should work for you. It sounds plausible, but every time you've tried it, it sounds like you end up feeling pants. You know, you've tried Carb Night, didn't really work. You've tried going into ketosis, didn't work. You know, we don't need to be low carb to lose weight. You need to control your energy balance for the most part to lose weight. And then you need to find something that works for you, whether it's high carb, medium carb, low carb, high fat, whatever it might be. There's a secret recipe for you. Like, I know the rough macronutrient ratio I like to lean down on. And similar, if I want to kind of build muscle or I want to maintain, and that's just through trying things out, evolving how I need to do things. So, you know, it's a little bit hard to tell you what the answer is for you, but you definitely need to increase your calories. It definitely feels like you need a more higher carb diet because lower carb doesn't work for you. And I think you honestly need to work with a coach. I'd obviously recommend my coaches at Body Type Nutrition. I think they'd be fantastic. Simon Herbert has a lot of experience with this. Heather Wynn can tie in the psychology component. But I just think you could do with some help unraveling the picture. And, you know, definitely instilling a bit of flexible dieting with yourself, I think would again be beneficial, just like the last person.
I'd agree. And eating 1,000 to 1,500 calories a day is not sustainable for somebody who's 5'4" and even at 122 pounds. Like it's just not sustainable. So I have nothing further to add. I've answered all of the points on that one.
Yeah, and it's I wasn't trying to be negative in any way, but that is honestly for me the answer to the question. I think you really need just a guiding hand, and it might only take 3 months, but I think someone just guiding you is just going to help you out and reassure you massively.
And I'll add here, please realise you get what you pay for. Don't go and find one of these girls on Instagram who has nothing but, is a 19 to a 20-year-old with, amazing pictures. Like they might look amazing, but, there's a lot of genetics that's on behind there. Really invest in a coach who knows what they're doing and who's been in the industry for a long time and can help you not just with the physical stuff, but like Ben said, with the mental aspect of it as well, because it's so missed in the industry, but it's such a critical and a crucial part of, long-term health.
I was going to say that. Get a coach with at least 5, 6, 7 years experience that can be compassionate and understand what the issue is, because it's not just about macros, calories, whatever. There's a big component of that here, but there's more to the picture there.
For sure. Alrighty. Second but last question. This is from Richard. If you had an unlimited amount of money to spend on health, nutrition and fitness with an end goal of looking awesome, what would you spend it on? I appreciate some people's goals might be more towards feeling better, but I would like to focus on aesthetics. I'm not really looking for the basics here. I'm thinking about the things that would really maximize one's progress. Ooh, good question. We could open a whole can of worms here.
We could do, but the reason why I put this in is because I was going to ask you more than anything this question, revert it back, because when I think about what I do in my lifestyle and what I would sort of have to optimize things, the only thing that I would really change from my current scenario, and I'm slowly changing it because I'm buying a house, is building a good home gym so I can get in and get out of the gym and get the job done and save myself more time. So that's a big thing for me, and that would obviously be a financial thing because I've got to build the gym and put the equipment in it. And then aside from that, for me, I would choose the best quality supplements to make sure that the purity was there. I would probably take a superfood powder regardless, so like it had loads of mixed berries and antioxidants in it, but nothing that was too much out of super physiological range. I would probably take the same ergogenic aids that I've discussed on the podcast before. And I'm trying to think of like gadgets that I would bring into my life if money wasn't a problem, but I'm struggling because I just think there's so many basics that are really, really important. I think maybe spending money on a really good bed and like the sleep environment at home. Rachel, what about you?
Well, a lot of this stuff I'm similar to you because it's obviously health and fitness and is obviously aesthetics. Let's get real here. We all want to look good naked. Because this stuff is really important to me. I do tend to spend a lot of money on this stuff anyway. I do have a trainer, so I outsource all of my training. So I have my trainer writes all of my nutritional programs. He writes all of my training. I see him twice a week. If I'm coming into a shoot, I see him up to 4 times a week. So all of my training is completely outsourced. And the reason I've done that, because a lot of people say to me, well, why are you spending all that money on somebody else training you when you can do it yourself? For the exact reasons that we've discussed. Like, I have so much going on in my business, like, 100-hour work weeks for me are not uncommon. So I need to outsource things where I can. So therefore, I outsource everything to Dane. He does everything for me. You know what? I just don't have to think about anything. I turn up to my training sessions, I get thrashed, and I come away. I know exactly what protein and what protein I have to have after training, how much I have to have. I know exactly what my meals have to be. I don't have to think about anything. If money was no option, I would love to have a chef.
Yeah.
And I go way out here, so I'd love to have a chef. I know there's food delivery companies now, and I'm quite fussy with my food, obviously, with having quite severe IBS as well. So I'd like to, it would be nice to have a food company or a chef be able to cater to my particular diet. I do find it harder to eat out because of that. So, I think that would be the first thing. Obviously, spending money on good organic grass-fed foods, the supplements that just comes as part and parcel of training. And a bit like you, really, Ben. Like, I was investing in a really good bed. We've already got a good one here, but a really good one. Perhaps one of those ones where you can't feel your other half move. My other half is 6'5" and weighs 115 plus kilos. So he's not a small thing to sleep next to. So it'll be quite nice to to have something that every time he moved didn't wake me up. So there's things like that. I mean, to be honest, I can't really think of anything else in particular. I wouldn't have a home gym. I actually like going to the gym. I like the feeling of getting up and the actual ritual of, I kind of get excited when I go and I get into my car and I have a particular playlist that I listen to when I go to the gym. I love my car. So, it's a whole ritual thing for me. It's not like yes, I'm time poor, but I really, I allocate my driving time to the gym, which is all of 7 minutes to the gym that I train at. So, I think that's pretty much it, really. Maybe I'd have my trainer like 5 times a week if I was training 5 days a week, 4 days a week, maybe. I don't know. Let me have a think about it. I need to be prepared for these questions.
You got sent these questions yesterday, so
I know, but I've been very busy catching up with. Well, my parents have been here, so I've been very busy catching up on emails.
I think the only thing that I would add would be I would have a infrared sauna.
Yes, that's the one. I would have that too.
Doubled with like a normal sauna, so it did both. So I could turn the infrared after a while and just sit there and stew. Because I do think they have such good detox benefits for the skin and overall health. And I would probably have a hot tub in my house as well, because they're just wicked.
Of course, everybody needs a hot tub, right?
I'd sit there outside in the evening and just drink wine out of it. That would be awesome. And maybe a swimming pool if I had the space, because I love moving in water. I was a water baby when I was born. I was a competitive swimmer when I was younger. I just took to water well, so I really like the feeling of like being in a pool. But I think that's it. If we think of anything, we'll bring it up on the next podcast.
I'm sure I'll think of a few other things, but yeah, definitely an infrared sauna. Oh, that's the other thing. I would definitely have a massage every week, like a Thai massage.
Essential.
Yeah, I think that's it for now. But
Okay.
I'd have a hot tub too. Maybe we could do like a buy one get one free offer.
Okay.
Next question. All right, this is from AJ. Hi, Ben and Rachel. This isn't a question. I just wanted to write in and give you feedback on how something I learned from you guys has helped me. I found Rachel's talk about her IBS really interesting. Firstly, because one of my friends has had IBS for years, and secondly, because I was having some pooing problems at the time. The bit of advice that you guys mentioned really helped me was cutting out fibrous vegetables for a while and to get things going again. Everyone knows fiber helps the bowel movements, but I don't think many know that too much can also block you up. I was eating a serving of about 200 grams of mixed broccoli and cauliflower with about 4 or 5 of my daily meals, thinking the more was better in terms of fibrous veg. And this was probably quite a lot for a 5'9" male weighing only 10 stone and being just under 10% body fat. Anyway, after cutting veg out for a few weeks and only eating white rice as my carb source, as Rachel mentioned, this had helped her IBS. I was pooing happily again. So thanks for talking about poo on your podcast, AJ.
The tips are working.
Awesome. I love a bit of feedback. You know, feedback's good. Like if anyone's got any feedback on Twitter or Facebook, like please tell us, because it's, you know, sometimes, you know, we talk about this sometimes, you know, we talk about these things and, you know, we can randomly talk about like infrared saunas and hot tubs and all this kind of stuff. But sometimes, you know, it could just be me and you just having a bit of a chat, really. So it's nice to know if that, you know, if this stuff relates to you, like tell us, talk to us.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's always really good to get feedback. Thank you, AJ. Talking of feedback, apologies that we've had a bit of feedback during the show on the microphone. I hung up and rang Rachel a couple of times and didn't really solve the problem. So apologies if there's been a bit of feedback. That's one reason why I've sort of slowed down my speech answering your questions, because it seemed to help the feedback on the microphone. Why it happened, I don't know. It's just the Skype machine being a bastard. So sorry about that. But you know, please tell us about feedback, because it means that people are listening. I know an awful lot of people listen to the show, but sometimes you do feel like you're sat here chatting to Rachel and that's it. Like no one else is listening, especially when you're recording it. So when it comes to questions, if you want a question answered on the podcast, then you can get your question answered. Please listen to the backlog of shows first and make sure that your question hasn't already been asked. Otherwise, your email might get deleted because we've already been there, and I don't want to feel like I'm being rude to people. So email bencoomber@gmail.com with the subject line podcast, and your email will get filtered into the system. And if it's good, it will get asked. If you would like to be coached by Rachel or just check out our stuff, go to athleticfox.com, or her coaching awesome website is the athleticfoxblueprint.com. And if you like my stuff, you know I am. I'm right here. I'm Ben Coomber on all of the social networks, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And if you are in Scotland and Ireland, look out for the conference because it is coming your way and it is freaking really good. Apart from that, the guest next week should be Ben Escrow. All things pertaining, going well with the Skype machine and American times and all that stuff. If not, sure it'll be another good guest. Otherwise, I hope you've learned some cool stuff today. Please do look out for the video that I've mentioned in previous podcasts. This video is going live on the 25th of November at 6:30 p.m. It's called Diet, the Disease of Our Generation. It's a very short documentary on disease, obesity, how people are not changing, and it's basically a very short kind of motivational, hard-hitting piece that I filmed with a very amazing film director. And all I'm asking for is I need your help. I need your help sharing it. Please share it on Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Please pass it on to an influential person that you know that could potentially aid the video in, you know, essentially going viral. That's what I want it to do. The only aim of this video is to make people think and put out a powerful message. Please, you know, watch the video first. Don't just think you have to share it because I've asked. Make sure the video resonates with you and you believe in the message and sharing the message. And if you believe that, then please share it, because I think it could be a very powerful thing for people to see. So that's the 25th of November at 6:30 p.m. Otherwise, that's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me, and I will chat to you in 2 weeks, just before I fly home.
Yes.
Awesome. So, until then, kids, behave, don't do anything that I wouldn't do, and enjoy the rest of the week.
Ciao, everyone.
Ciao.
Hey everyone, Ben Kuma Radio, episode number 111. That's 111. Me and Rachel are not together today. I have a different female guest.